right, man. Let's do this. All right, everybody. Welcome to 2 Days at Night. Another episode. Episode number 2. Second try. um, I'm your host, Jordan, and with me is my brother, as always, Jeremy. How you doing, brother?
All right, all right. How about you?
Had a long day, but I'm glad to be back home, and I'm glad to be talking with you.
What was your long? What happened to make your day so long?
We took a trek to look for campers today. Look at a couple campers. We
Okay.
we haven't seen too many on different marketplaces and things like that. So we decided to go to a dealership and take a look at a couple and used ones. So we it was a little bit of a drive though down to a spot where it's kind of a very popular campground area, and I think that they must have a lot of people that travel from some of the larger cities in New England here, and likely upgrade their campers every now and then. So I think these guys probably scoop up the leftovers and
Right,
fix them up.
right, right.
Not so. They were pretty cleaned out though. Actually, they said they
Yeah.
were doing some good business last
Huh.
week and a half here.
Yeah. Did you do any looking on Craigslist at all?
We have, yeah.
Yeah.
It was so
Huh.
actually that was why we went there because they have their entire inventory pretty much on Craigslist.
Oh, okay.
But for the most part, I guess they said that they had sold like about 8 campers just in this past week. Uh,
Oh, wow.
so they they were saying that they haven't had time to update it on the Craigslist there. Some of the ones that we had looked at, they had been sold. So we only got to see
Yeah.
one that we were kind of considering, and
Yeah.
um, yeah. So
Huh.
we'll keep an eye out. There's sometimes
Yeah.
it's these guys were saying that when they sell a camper that they do a whole hookup. They actually hook it up and test everything and kind of take a video
Oh, okay.
and send that out to you so that okay, I'm getting exactly what I expected. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, but so you don't necessarily expect that when you buy from just someone privately, self
Yeah.
selling.
Yeah. No. Okay. Okay. No, when you said it was a long day, I envisioned toilsome. Is
Oh no.
when I talk about having long days, it's like there's usually some level of misery involved with that. So
Well, I'd say 6 hours of driving is kind of miserable for me, at least.
really?
Not as bad as I know what you mean, though. Like more of a real physical labor.
Yeah, or something goes wrong,
Right,
something unexpected happens or something like that.
for sure.
But you don't like driving? Driving gets to you?
Long distances on the highway, yeah. I don't mind driving kind of like, smaller roads and scenic roads and things like that. But
Yeah.
when it's just sort of like destination driving, it feels sort of monotonous and
Hmm.
I don't know.
Interesting.
We did a pretty good hike as well because Nifty Bean came with us and she's always got to get outside a bit, a little puppy
Yeah.
dog, and
Yeah.
so we took her, and it was actually like where we're at, um, where we live at is pretty flat, so where we drove to was more in the mountains, and
Hmm.
it was kind of nice to actually do some hiking with an incline again.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and
well,
it's
it's
just
just
it
it
adds
adds
so
so
much
much
to the
to the
landscape
landscape
too.
too.
For
It
sure.
really does. The flat areas. I mean, I've lived in the Appalachians my whole life, so flat area is just so odd looking to me and kind of characterless, and you know
Yeah,
I like my hill keeps things interesting.
for sure, for sure.
keeps keeps you honest.
Yeah, yeah. Nifty, she liked it a lot. She was running all over the place. It's crazy because it's kind of icy on the snow, still. So she'd be coming down
Yeah.
the hills where the sun hadn't touched it yet.
Yeah.
It's still kind of icy, and she was sliding a bit.
We've lost, man, nearly all our snow already. It's
Wow.
yeah, Wednesday it was amazing outside. It was 60 degrees here,
Yep.
and it was just incredibly beautiful out. But it wreaked havoc on our snow.
Yeah.
And then Thursday it was like upper 40s. Today it maybe made it into the low 40s. But yeah, our snow, I mean, it's crazy how much it's pretty much gone already.
Wow.
Um, yeah, yeah, lots of signs of spring moving in. So,
Sure.
but that's great. I mean, I was outside all day today. I took the day off work, and I was cutting wood up, moving wood, cutting wood all day. So it's good times. It's good times.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Necessary.
Necessary. Lots more to be done. I also realized that, like an idiot, I didn't start my wood splitter at all over the winter, and
Oh no.
yeah, and it's not starting. I got to get some starter
Ah.
fluid. Um, Dad said to try some starter fluid on it and see if maybe it'll fire, but I'm willing to bet that there's a pretty good chance that I'll be. He said that I might need to get the carburetor rebuilt, which I guess isn't too major a repair. It shouldn't cost a whole lot. So,
Right.
uh, um, but still just aggravating because I told myself when I got it last year that I needed to start it periodically,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't be an issue because I'm constantly out in the shed anyway,
Did,
and I just
if you recall, when we met up last fall, as you were bringing me from the airport, I think I mentioned to you that something that I want to work on with myself is taking better care of my own
better maintenance.
equipment. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
just, yeah, that makes me
Yeah. It was just I just something that totally slipped my mind until today. I was out there because I had to get the cart and the tractor and the chainsaw and stuff, and I looked over and I saw the I saw the splitter. Well, and I'm going to be needing it soon because I'll start splitting wood for next winter here real directly.
yeah.
And I looked at it and I was like, oh no. and
Mm.
and I went over and I pulled on it for like 5 minutes and it wouldn't start. And I gave it like 3 different rounds today and nothing doing. Like I said, I don't have any starter fluid, but I don't know. I'm not very optimistic. I think I screwed myself.
No.
So I got to get that taken care of because I desperately need that thing.
Yeah.
This tis the season to start splitting the wood.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. Have
Uh,
you considered
but
trying any maple tapping?
no, I don't think so. You have to do so much to get anything, right? And
It's true.
I don't know. Seems like a lot of work, a lot of work. I
Yeah.
think it'd be fun, but I don't know. I think one of my neighbors is trying to do some sort of tapping. I saw they have some for bucket hanging on the tree. I don't know. It doesn't look very good. I'm just like I don't know what they're up to up there.
Yeah. I
But
heard that the sugar water is something you can drink and consume.
oh, I'm sure it is. I'm sure
That'd
it is.
be kind of interesting to taste.
Yeah, yeah, it would be. I bet it's delicious. I wonder if it has like a tree type of taste to it, like a wood
Mm.
type. I'll bet that would be really good. Yeah, I could get into some of that for sure. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should try. I mean, yeah, I guess it's not all that much work. I mean,
At
just
least to
like
collect just the water itself wouldn't be too bad.
yeah, yeah. If you actually want to make either syrup or like sugar or something out of it, then you're getting into the boiling and um, Like I
Yeah.
guess really that's all you got to do is boil. You just need a ton of it though if you're going to be boiling it because you're boiling it down so much.
Yeah.
I don't
Exactly.
know how much you get per, gallon of water, and I don't know how much water you get out of a tree.
Can't quite remember all. I remember there was a while back that I did where it's like, if it's a 20-inch tree, or and every 10 inches, beyond that as a diameter, it's like you can get, I think, like between 20, I think it's like almost like 20 gallons per tap, perhaps 10
Wow.
gallons per tap. And I think if it's over 20-inch diameter, you can get at least two taps on either side of the tree.
Yeah, interesting. Interesting. Now that measurement that's got to be like for a season.
Believe so, yeah. For probably a spring, likely.
Okay. Because I'm just curious, like how fast those buckets fill up. You know.
Pretty quick, I think.
Yeah. Because you definitely want to use a stainless steel or like a tin, right? A pail.
Or plastic, some sort of like grade plastic.
You can use plastic. Okay.
Yeah, well, you think about like a lot of the Amish, they use those polyethylene tubes.
Yeah.
All
that's
tubes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you what. Speaking of those tubes, man, you go back home.
It's like a maze out there, isn't it?
It's like the lasers that guard the crown jewels or something. Like I don't even know how honestly, I don't know how animals get around in some of those woods.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to bet deer don't get around in some of those woods. A lot of animals don't get around in some of those woods. Some of the coyotes and stuff like that still could, but anything with any type of height to it, a deer, a bear, something like that, that's not going to be able to get through.
Right.
It's crazy.
It is pretty crazy, the extensive networks that they've got.
Yeah.
Well,
it's funny too. I think I told you this story before, but our one newly married into the family relative, he pretty sure he's lived his whole life in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And he was up here visiting a couple years ago, and he and I drove to one of the local stores back home to go get we were shooting stuff, pop cans or something, I don't know, something to blow up. And and we're driving, and he's like, what is that stuff in the woods? And I'm like, huh? He's like, that blue stuff everywhere. Mm. And at first I wasn't sure what he was talking about, and then we started going past some, and he's like, that stuff there. And I'm like, oh, that. I was like, yeah, that's for maple sugar, for maple water and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, oh, okay. It's like, I thought that was something a little different, like different types of grow operations.
Oh.
He thought it was like a hydroponic system for like
feeding the trees.
I guess no, for like growing something else. Like
wow, really?
Yeah. And I'm just like that. No, it's not that.
That's so funny. Wow.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess hey, you don't grow up around that stuff.
It's very foreign looking.
Yeah, like what would I think if I hadn't grown up around that and I was driving around and I saw that stuff? Like, what is this stuff?
Yeah, for real.
Too funny. But yeah, I don't know. Just ready for spring to roll in, and lots of signs that it's coming. But I mean, these are the true dog days of winter, because now is when you get that little taste
right
of spring. Everybody gets that little taste.
March is a long month.
It is. March is a long month, and it's always colder than you would think, and
right.
So yeah, this is the rough time. But and this is also when I'll go through more firewood than any other time of the year too, because what'll end up happening is the upstairs of the house will warm up, and so then the heat won't run at all during the day, which will
Oh,
make the basement stay cold because the thermometer for the thermostat and everything is upstairs. So
yeah,
since the heat doesn't kick on, the basement just gets cold. So
that makes sense.
I'll burn a lot more firewood in the fireplace to keep things warm. And again, I swear one of these days I'm gonna end up just getting a stove somewhere somehow. Probably as I continue to get older and just feel like I'm just kind of wasting wood,
In that
So,
fireplace.
yeah, it just burns so fast,
Huh.
and like there's so much heat that I'm losing. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like, man, if I had a stove, it would burn slower, and I would get so much more out of it.
Yeah, it would
And
really radiate out.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I swear one of these days I'm just gonna end up being like, all right, time is now.
Hey,
Time is
wait,
now.
if you're find like those I think a lot of garage sales would have, wood stoves, right? Like garage sales kind of cleaning out, you know.
Yeah, I think the only reason I would maybe balk at that is because they're so darn heavy.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know that it's a great item to put out for a garage sale because what are the odds that somebody's going to come around to the garage sale that is going to be like, yeah, let's hoist that sucker up into the
Two man
into the
lift.
yeah, like let's roll. It kind of almost seems like something where you'd want to kind of have an idea of who's coming and that they're capable of
Hmm.
picking it up. Of course, I guess you could go to the garage sale and just you could buy it and be like, all right, well, I'll be back in a couple days or whatever with
Sure.
some folks and you know.
Yeah, yeah. And that might be the type of thing too, where someone is like, if hey, if you can get it out of here, it's yours, for whatever you are willing to pay.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
definitely.
get
Well,
it
and
out.
that's a big reason to go to yard sales, and there's a ton of yard sales around here. Every year, I'm always like, man, I need to go to some of these yard sales because I live
Yeah,
in a pretty affluent area,
for
and I
sure.
have a feeling that there's a lot of good stuff being set out and sold for super cheap.
Right.
Um, you just got to watch out though, because next thing you know, you turn into a pack rat. You're on. Next thing you know, you're on hoarders.
Right. You've got
You're
four
buying
TVs.
exactly. You're buying all kinds of crap you don't really need. You're just like, I can't pass that up. I can't pass it up.
It's too good a deal.
It's too good. It's too good. But no, I think that you can go and look for some cool stuff. For myself, like guitars are something I think about a lot. Like
Mm,
those have got to be something that you find at garage sales.
right.
Go to a garage sale and Johnny's just left the nest and
Sure.
never did learn how to play that Les Paul that you bought him when he was in seventh grade, and doesn't have any intention of it, and you're tired of
Right.
seeing it lay around the house. And well, heck, here comes this guy, and he's offering me $100 for this thing right now. Heck, I might as well go ahead and sell it to him.
That seems pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, which is funny. I do have a guitar that kind of came to me by that type of way. Not exactly. It was more crackhead was getting rid of it, but actually sold it to one of our other brothers first, and
Okay.
for a really good price for the guitar. And our other brother was like, I don't even need it. And I was like, I'll take it, and I don't need it either. I haven't played it in I don't know how long, but uh, I have big goals. I have big goals for it. I want to as far as what I want to do to it. I want to replace some of the parts on it and stuff
Oh, cool.
someday maybe. But
Cool.
it's one of
Fix
those
it up.
things. Yeah, yeah. It was one of those things where hey, uh, really cheap price. I know that guitar is worth more than
Right.
what I bought it for. So I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
As long as it's playing, you can replace the strings. The body's good on it. right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure,
That makes sense.
indeed.
Hmm.
So, is there anything on your mind this week that you wanted to chat about?
Yeah, I guess I was trying to think of that before the podcast, and one of the things that sort of had come up in my thoughts was, I've had I'm in a big transition phase of within my life right now, where I'm moving into a different career path, and so obviously with that transition, there's the um, financial sort of aspect of everything. And one of the things I just was kind of considering is how, um, and we've talked about it, with talking about Bitcoin and value of currency. Um, and so, sort of thinking in terms of the U.S. dollar and you know our focus on it as the entity that would what we use our energy for,
Mm-hmm.
and to get it. And so, again, just thinking more about how I want to use my energy and time to work at getting the things directly that I need and that I want for my life, and also having that life that is fulfilling and worth living, rather than just trying to make ends meet. Or you know I was thinking a lot about too the I guess the biggest thing was, if the dollar, with all this money printing that's been going on, the Federal Reserve, I mean, it just seems like we're due for some crazy financial economic situations in this country. And so I just was thinking about how, if I am working at, sort of getting the habits and getting used to navigating my life without the dollar being the focus of how I, get my resources, I'm really sort of building the habits that are necessary for any situation where, the economy is in any kind of trouble, or so I don't know. And just in general, I think it helps build, self-reliance, um, and building other connections. It's my focus is, people, community, relationships, and hard assets essentially.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. It's funny because one of the things that I'm constantly thinking about, I shouldn't say constantly because I'm not like not running around like Chicken Little, or and I don't live my life, scared out of my mind for what's coming or what might happen. Um, but at the same time, I'm constantly thinking to myself, if the lights went off tomorrow, do I have the ability right now to survive for
Right.
who knows, indefinitely? And it's funny because when I really think about it, I'm like, of course I do. I've already got a huge leg up on our ancestors of thousands of years ago,
Mm,
supposedly, or ancestors that didn't have a house. I mean, even if the lights are out, I've already got this big structure that's got
shelter.
insulation, and yeah, I've got solid shelter already, like that. So already I've got a leg up on the competition. Then you know, I've got enough food in the house right now that if we rationed it out, I could eat for months on what's in this house right now as it is, which
Yeah.
would which I feel, depending on the time of year, would give me enough time, on top of the fact that I'm already working towards being able to grow my own food and produce my own food. Um,
Right on.
these are the things that I'm constantly thinking about. Like, how could
Exactly.
I survive if worse things come to worse?
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's interesting. It's fun to think about. Like I said, I don't get terrified about it. In fact, I joke about it all the time. I'm like, I think 3 months, the grid going down for 3 months might honestly be one of the best things that could happen to America right now. And I know people think I'm insane, and yeah, there's some really terrible stuff that would happen as a result of it. But
Yeah.
think of all the good the purge can do.
Mm.
um,
Hard times make was it good was it what's the
I can't think of how he says it. Hard times make strong men.
yeah.
Uh,
Strong men bring good
Something like that.
times.
Yeah, yeah, something
Good
like that.
times make weak men. Weak men bring bad times. Something like
I can't.
that.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly how it is. I like that phrasing though.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's just a case of everybody's just too comfortable and too bored, and people really need their perspectives reset. This week is a great example of it, right? We have, you know, all we're talking about, we, all I see in the media right now is the health secretary from my great Commonwealth has been picked to be the assistant secretary of health in the Biden administration, and she would be the first transgender woman, to head up the health. Well, I don't know, whatever.
Oh, I gotcha.
But this, you know, we're so focused on trans rights and kids should be allowed to do whatever they want, with regards to their gender and this and that. And to me, those are things that come about because people are bored and too
Mm-hmm.
comfortable. If the power went out for 3 months, Dr. Levine would have a lot of other problems other than trying to figure out, some child's, or do they really feel like a boy or do they really feel like a girl?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
But and as far as people's priorities and stuff being out of whack, like, people are fighting over that type of insanity, right? That is just insanity. The whole whole idea, the whole concept, it's all insane, brought about by this boredom. An idle mind is the devil's workshop, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And while people are going about that fight, our newly elected and inaugurated president is just pushing the button and firing weapons at another country, and nobody cares because he's got a transgender person that they're trying to nominate, and he doesn't get on Twitter and say mean things, and he doesn't speak to reporters bad because, by the way, he never speaks to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's just I really do believe that if some sort of serious disaster were to strike this country for a sustained period of time, for a relatively sustained period of time, that it probably would be good for people on the whole. There would be a lot of misery along the way, but
I think probably for generations later, right? If definitely like the people that come following that sort of have relearned the self-reliance and the necessity for and just the reconnection back to what life really is, and having to fight for survival and get your food, search for your food and find food, and how about this, even have a day without food.
Oh yeah.
How many Americans spend even more than 10 hours
4 hours
night sleep without food, right?
Yeah,
it's crazy because people for the longest time would maybe you didn't have dinner that night, and you're hoping that you're gonna have breakfast the next day because you've got the one egg that you're gonna split between your family of four or whatever.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure. But that's what's interesting about the world that we live in right now, with all of the convenience and everything. And you mentioned trying to live a particular life because it's more rewarding. Well, that's what's so crazy about this world and the people that inhabit it, is that there are a lot of people that feel that that is not rewarding at all. That
Mm,
you know, that life is much more rewarding if I can just sit and watch Netflix and, you
right.
know, eat the Pizza Hut and, you know, take the prescribed pills that'll, you know, alleviate the natural stuff that's going on in me because I'm not ever outside and not ever doing anything. You
Right.
know, it'll help rewire me properly so I don't want to throw myself out the window so that I can go into the office the next day and, you know, do the overlord's bidding. Um,
Dude,
but you know, to some people, that's fulfilling. That's their idea of a fulfilling life, and more power to them. Like I
some
don't.
people though, do you think that some people just don't know, or just are just in a almost a zombified sort of track, just in a state of perpetual motion, not really, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I'd say that there's degrees to it. Yeah, sure. I'd say that there's degrees to it. I'd say that there are people that are just on autopilot. The NPCs.
Right,
they're
following their peers
they're
and not really,
NPCs.
yeah,
Yeah, they're NPCs. They're just doing the job. And hey, ignorance is bliss. Yeah, it's a phrase for a
fair
reason.
enough.
Um,
Sure.
you know, and those people are doing what they're supposed to be doing. And you know, that's something about the truther community. You know, and this is something that different people have been talking about for a little while now. Is that so many in the truth community feel the need to wake people up. You know,
Mm.
you've got to see, and it's like, well, no, I mean, people have different, you know, people are watching different movies right now, like, and
Right.
they always are, and you know,
Some people
it's
are just not gonna see.
they just aren't, and they aren't supposed to, and that's fine, you know. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, and that's
Yeah,
fine. And then there are other people that aren't so NPC that I think probably do see. I think that a lot of people don't really see things on the big level as far as being on this, being at the mercy of this big supply chain, this big corporate thing, you know, and how that is working to do different things socially and this and that. You know, I think that there
for
probably
sure.
aren't a whole lot of people that see that and
For sure.
still are just like, yeah, I'm all on board with it. You
People
know,
can barely understand where the food in the market comes from.
exactly,
So imagine trying to get
exactly,
around how the advertising for that food or the chemical makeup of that food and all that comes in,
exactly,
you know.
exactly. And I don't think that there. I think that a lot of those people maybe aren't quite so NPC-ish. Like I think that maybe they do kind of understand like some things. Like there's alternative ways of living, but they probably don't fully understand like why people would see that as beneficial or things like that. You know, I think the true NPCs don't even really realize like that you could go out and start a homestead and
Right.
have a well and you know, grow your own food and they, like literally I think there are people that probably just don't even know that,
For
right? I mean,
for
it sounds
instance,
crazy to
I
say.
yeah. No, for real. For instance, I asked someone once, what do you think about the idea that certain parts of society might actually decide to transition away from electricity and decide that they want to live, you know,
Mm-hmm.
completely away from all electricity? And he's like, yeah, I think that they could potentially maybe people would want that, but I just don't see how they would really be able to do that, you know, or do that in today's society and all. And I'm thinking to myself, well, there already are. They're called the Amish, and they do fine. They're doing great right now.
Right, they're crushing, they're
They're
crushing.
crushing.
um yeah, for sure, for sure. um so I think that a lot of you know, then there are people that maybe do see the benefits and kind of see things at that level and just don't care. They're like, I don't want to do the work. I realize kind of what's going on, but you know what? I'm having a great time. The strip club is lit, and like who cares? I'm living my best life, and screw everything else. So I think there's a
Sure.
lot of different levels to what's going on, to how people are going about life,
True.
and that's something that I've been trying to say a lot lately is uh, they're all perfect. They're all perfect, and I love all of them. They are all doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. Um, the purple haired feminist telling me that I have a micro penis and that I'm awful. I love that woman or that they or whatever I'm supposed to call it. I love it. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing.
Hmm.
And
I like it.
the red hat MAGA hat wearing guy that's trying to insurrect at the Capitol. I love him too. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing. That's great. Y'all are doing great. Just don't come to my house. Don't come to my door trying to make me do anything, because then we're gonna have
Right.
some problems.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
that's when the love stops. If you're starting to try and force me to do things.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I
Hmm.
don't know.
That's interesting. I think that some people view it like this, and I was, as you were kind of describing that, I had an analogy that kind of formed in my mind, which was um, that if you saw some sheep grazing on a little pasture, and it was surrounded by forest, and it was pretty thick forest, and they couldn't see beyond the forest, and they just maintained themselves in that little pasture, and the pasture was like little stumpy grass, not very good, right, and maybe had like moss growing through it too. But if like you went up like a mountain, up to like this high kind of alpine little grassy land, they don't realize, but maybe there's like this lush, delicious grass up there that's been getting sunshine and has like full, lush forage and everything. And I think some people believe that by wakening people up, you're kind of like leading them to the
Hmm.
truth, to the promise,
Hmm.
almost in a way, right? You're leading
Right.
them to better pasture, to like this is what your life could be, and
Yeah.
I do get that in some ways, but
Sure.
but I will say that in the same way where I don't want other people telling me what is good for me, who are you to say that that pasture is better? Like,
For them.
yeah, maybe that other pasture up on the alpine has a weed that's poisonous to those sheep, and they know not to go up there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Exactly. Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. And that's why I will try to kind of at least make people aware of things that I feel are going on. But I'll just do it kind of casually and just move on. I'm not in the business of trying to change anybody's mind about anything. Um, it's interesting. We've talked about Dave Weiss before, the
mhm.
deep in the
Yeah,
rabbit hole flat Earth guy. I love some of his. He posts. I think I mentioned this before. He posts a lot of interviews, and obviously he talks with a lot of people that disagree with him. And it's just interesting to hear him talk to people because he tells them, "Look, I'm not here to tell you to change your mind. I'm just trying to show you what I've figured out, and you can draw your own conclusion." and
right.
and it's just interesting to see how people handle that and how he interacts with people.
Huh,
Um,
yeah.
like when he says that, he's just like, "Look, I'm not, you just make up your own, you draw your own conclusions." I'm not here to change your mind. I'm just here to kind of talk to you about it. And, if you're on board, great. If not, that's great too. One of the ones that I just watched, he was like, you think that you live on a fake ball spinning through the earth at millions of miles an hour? It's fine. I don't care.
when you really think about it, they're both just as the other one's just as crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're both just as crazy. Reality is nuts. It's insane.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
either
No
idea, they're both theories, and they're both crazy.
yeah. Well, and the thing is, people get into the NASA this, videos that, and I get where those people are coming from. But there's these flat earther people. They have a lot of video hijinks going on with the NASA stuff. Because they say that it's all contrived and all done in green screens and this, that, and the other. And there is some weird. They've definitely got clips of some weird stuff going on. Like there's this one where there's allegedly a mouse running around on this piece on a spacecraft. That's
what
up in yeah, dude. They definitely have some really weird videos. So I get why there's so much evidence. Well, there's so much. See, and that's the thing though, is that it's all theories, right? I think we've talked about this before. Like there's very little about anything as far as what this thing is that is like proven. You have to kind of, you have to kind of follow what the officials say, and that's that.
Yeah.
And I don't know how he accounts for, like, there's supposedly satellites watching the Earth 24/7 or whatever. Like China has one up there where you can go to a website and like see the Earth or something. I don't know how he accounts for that stuff.
Well, weren't you saying it's the high altitude weather balloons, right? Things like that.
Yeah, well, but I don't know that those would be one of the ones that would be able to get a full shot. Like this satellite, I think has a full shot of the Earth.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's like the only one where you can see like the whole Earth. I think.
Frame, huh?
But I don't know. It's again, I can't prove anything as far as what's going on.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel to me, and when I really think about it, never has. It doesn't feel to me like I'm on a spinning ball. Again, who am I? But it's funny because I actually was talking about this with Lena just recently, just the other night, and she was saying something about, no, I just don't think that we're the only intelligent life in the universe, blah blah blah, something, I don't know, and I was just like, well, I don't think that there's life in the universe. I was like, they might be like outside of us here. And she's kind of looking at me, and I was like, well, like outside of Antarctica or something. She just started laughing. And I just go, well, what's funnier about that? What's funny about that, as opposed to you saying that there's other universes up in the sky?
Something in the universe.
I was like, well, literally, what's the difference? And I don't know. It just doesn't bother me anymore. And it's the other thing that Dave Weiss always says in these interviews is, all right, well, if you believe in the flat Earth now you can go and get the ridicule of all your friends and loved ones too. And it's so true. Like, and that's why people are like, oh, he's a shill. He doesn't really believe this stuff. And I'm like, why would somebody like? It can't be a great road to go down,
right?
Career choice, like
sure, yeah.
Just constantly taking heat, being called a retard, like,
yeah, to be looked at as the person that's not very intelligent, yeah.
It's not a great career choice.
Right,
it's got to be terrible for the self-esteem and stuff, I don't know. And it's true. Like you bring up stuff like that, and people just look at you like you grew three heads. I mean, it actually cracks me up kind of how people cannot, cannot, absolutely cannot even allow themselves
Right.
to spend their current perception long enough to even fathom anything else. You
It
know,
really speaks to the depth of the indoctrination that we receive in public schools,
for
right?
sure.
And like it seems so crazy that there could be any other idea or theory to what's
Mm-hmm.
going on. And and I just gotta say that like when you really just stop, if you try to like pull yourself out of everything you've been told about the earth and just think then well actually no don't forget about everything, just but think about it logically in terms of like if we're spinning at a speed that fast, and logically with all physics, as if when you take a ball and you put water on it and you spin it, the friction of the thing that's spinning pulls the fluid, right, pulls the fluid with the direction that it's spinning.
It does, yeah.
I just, when you look at like things like these Arctic blasts and stuff, if you look at like a NOAA wind map, I mean, it doesn't. Our weather patterns make no sense.
No,
Thing that's spinning
no,
that fast,
no,
an axis
no. They
against
don't.
against something with a vacuum.
Yeah, yeah, and that is another thing too that really makes my head spin is no pun intended. Um, how is that supposed to work? That the atmosphere and that everything from a certain altitude down just stays in place. You know, it totally defies anything that we know about anything. Anything that you, like you said, that you can actually physically test,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
It just, I don't know. It's really bizarre, and that's something that I've always thought too. Like weather patterns, how do weather patterns? Why is it that some days it's very windy and other days it's not? If I'm hurtling through space at an astronomical rate of speed, on while I'm spinning at an astronomical rate of
And they say that it's all relative, but the problem that I have with it is that like we ourselves might not feel the spin directly, but it's the weather. It's the way the jet streams run.
Yeah.
Like the fluid, that's the fluid above us, and that fluid is connected directly to the fluid above it and the fluid above it. There is
Yep.
electromagnetic kind of things in play as well. So I get that there's all sorts of weird kind of atmospheric levels and stuff with like density of clouds and all. There's all kinds of things going on, but the fact of the matter is that it's all a fluid against a vacuum, and if we are a friction body spinning at that rate, it seems so perplexing. And then the other one that always gets me too is it's the fighter jets too, the airplanes, if they're traveling at such a high rate of speed, and the curvature of the earth is such, they would literally have to be constantly turning their nose down to be maintaining any, otherwise
Or they
start to
they
drift
fly
into
drift
the,
off.
and they would come into friction with the atmosphere eventually.
Yeah.
They would
Yeah.
have to be turning their faces down.
Yeah. Well, even commercial flights, it's the same. It's the same thing. Because commercial airliners, when you're in a commercial jet, you are moving very, very rapidly through the sky.
Yeah.
I don't know that people really understand how fast those things move. I know Lana, when we first got together, she had flown several times. But I remember one time we were talking about it, and I was like, yeah, you're flying like 700 miles an hour over there. She's like, what? No way. I'm like, oh, yeah. I'm like, for sure. And the other thing, too, that's really interesting about the flying is how, you have to pressurize the cabin when you fly, right? The further up you go, you have to pressurize the cabin, which is interesting because when you're in the ocean and you're diving deep in the ocean, don't you have to pressurize your vessel that you're in the ocean?
I believe so, yeah, because there's pressure, yeah.
So see, and that kind of speaks to what you were saying, is that there's just levels of like moisture, right? Levels of water almost. And so it's interesting that we kind of almost have to run the same operation when we're going up in this world.
I think that would be. Yeah, I think that's like as you go, you would be losing your pressure as you would go up in the plane. So like you have to pressurize it so you don't lose pressure, right? Because if you think of like the old planes, if they're really high up and the glass breaks or something, they lose their oxygen and go. You have to have oxygen come down. It's because there's too little pressure, too little oxygen.
Yeah. But see, isn't that the opposite though? Like if you're deep sea diving, isn't there too much pressure? You need to like depressurize.
Yeah.
So it's a little different. Interesting. See, I thought it was the same thing, but it's not, which kind of blows something that I've been thinking about.
Well, they're different. The difference is that when you're in the ocean, the pressure is a result of the weight of the water, like above you. So like as you go further and further down, you have that much more volume of water, and the pressure continues to build. But in the atmosphere, it's the opposite, right? The fluid is all above you, and as you go up, you have less of the atmospheric fluid above you, and so you're losing the pressure.
Okay.
So it's sort of the same thing. Imagine if you were at the surface of our atmosphere and you started deep sea diving down our atmosphere. The pressure build would get greater, and then you would hit the surface of the water and you'd go down and it would get greater and greater and greater as well.
Yeah. It's just I often just think about Genesis, and I'm not overly great with Bible stuff, and I don't necessarily buy every story in the Bible as it's written to be what's the word I'm looking for here. I can't think of the word I'm looking for. Basically the opposite of metaphorical. I guess
literal.
Yeah, literal. But I do think that it's interesting that in Genesis it talks about God separating the waters above from the waters below. And that's another Genesis is another one where the flat earthers point to as well. Both that and the fact that it says that he created the firmament. And flat earthers will tell you that the firmament is like a dome or whatever that is. That's kind of our limit. And that's why I think pretty much all flat earthers don't. There's no space, right? You can't go above the dome. Whatever that dome is, we hit it, and you can't go above it.
I gotcha.
But I don't know. I've always found that verse to be interesting. Even as a kid, it was something that I always kind of thought about, the waters above and the waters below.
Yeah.
It always kind of made sense to me, rivers, lakes, oceans, water below, and then blue sky, like waterfalls above, the water above, So I don't know. It's always just something interesting to think about. But
and the idea of the firmament,
yeah.
I remember I had this thought came to me. I can't recall when, a week or two ago, just very randomly, which was that there was a time whenever the United States government was military, I should say, was you detonating a lot of nuclear weapons in the atmosphere with the intention of trying to, if I recall this is correct, is it right, to try and blow up the ionosphere is what they were calling it, I believe. But it made me wonder if maybe they're trying to blow up the.
Well, I don't remember exactly what they were trying to do, but you're right. They were definitely firing explosives at the sky in summary.
And the whole HARP technology is all firing radio waves off of the
ionosphere and bouncing waves around. Yeah, for sure. What you were talking about though with them launching nukes and stuff, that actually did have a name for it, like the project. I can't remember what it was.
Oh, right.
But
yeah, what was that?
But yeah, they were definitely trying to do something, and that's what again, you know, the conspiracy theorists, people, flat earthers, those types would say that is what they were trying to do. They were trying to blow up the firmament.
Right.
And you know, if you want to keep going with the conspiracy theory type stuff, you know, that's what people say that Disney is very involved in the whole NASA production and everything that goes on with that type of stuff. Because Disney was good friends with Warner von Braun.
Right.
And they'll point to the Disney logo as evidence of the notion that there are people that understand what this world is,
right,
and are not telling us because of the Disney logo. And it's kind of interesting because I've always kind of wondered, like, what is the Disney logo? But you know, it's that basically like this little snow globe looking thing with a castle inside of it, and the highest tip of the castle is breaking the dome of the snow globe. And you know, they would say that is evidence that people want to break through the firmament of the earth. And Warner von Braun notoriously on his tombstone, on his gravestone, only has the verse, what is it, Psalm 23:1, I think it is, which says the firmament shows his handiwork. So interesting.
That is interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, again, I don't know. I'm not making any claims. I'm just saying the stuff that I've heard around the block, and you know, it's interesting stuff to look at and contemplate if you like to contemplate stuff. And that's the other thing that gets me too is like people love movies and stuff, right? Love movies, love TV shows, love outlandish stuff on these shows. Why isn't it fun to take some of that same type of suspense, drama, mystery, and add it to real life?
Right.
And you know, I mean, I don't know. Again, I think there's just people that just don't care, you know, just whatever.
Well, it's so fascinating how it seems like people, it needs to be true to them, you know, it but what does it really change about your life? How much does your life demand that we be a spinning ball, you know?
Yeah, well, that's an interesting thing too, and something that I've been contemplating recently is why people care so much. Like why is it such a big deal? Why are we so in the business of making sure that people think certain things and believe certain things? I just don't quite understand that. Like why, if I think the Earth is an octagon, like why who effing cares?
Yeah,
Like,
and how does that doesn't make you dangerous, or that doesn't make,
yeah,
you know, yeah, exactly. The people, I don't get this either. Like, why suddenly thinking, maybe a little peculiar or unique things is a dangerous act?
yeah. Well, it's like I mentioned several episodes ago, probably one of the ones that isn't up yet. Philosophy is dead. You're not allowed to be a philosopher anymore. You're not allowed to contemplate, to speculate, to you're just not allowed to do that type of stuff anymore. It's very frowned upon. I mean, you're allowed to, but it's very frowned upon, and you will take heat. Especially if you're, heaven forbid, you're somebody that is in certain fields or something, and you're not going with some type of mainstream narrative. Next thing you know, you'll find your job on the chopping block and whatnot. Crazy.
Yeah, I tell you what, the companies are combing social media, and if you're a kid listening to this, be careful what you put online. Come on, be careful, please.
Yeah. Just stay offline.
Or do that too.
Or be anonymous if you must go online. Real quick, I know we're coming up to the end here. Michael Malice did an interview, I think it was this week. I think it came out just this week, with former Congressman Justin Amash.
Okay.
It's an hour long. I've watched about a half hour of it. It is really interesting.
Huh.
Really interesting. It's a pretty good look at how the sausage is made, so to speak. I mean, Malice asks, legit, serious questions about, the way that things work, and Amash gives some pretty provoking answers. From somebody that was there, that's been there and tried to do the work. It's some pretty interesting stuff.
He's an interesting guy.
Amash.
I don't know how I feel about him.
Who's that, Amash?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, I think that he was probably as forthright and upstanding as anybody. And watching this interview so far, I mean, he seems like he's probably a pretty upstanding dude. One of the last questions I saw Malice ask him was, what are ways that people get coerced to vote particular ways on bills and stuff? He was like, without naming names, have you ever been like called and threatened or anything? And he was like, no, he's like nothing like that. And he even said, he was like, now bear in mind, he's like, I wasn't that deep in the law.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
I mean, he literally said that. He was like, I wasn't really deep into a lot of stuff. He was like, so I don't doubt. I mean, these are his words. I don't doubt that type of stuff, does go on, depending on how involved.
That's basically him saying, I want to say yes, but I've been told that
I should keep my mouth shut.
Exactly. Yeah. If you want to still be part of the safe club.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But he said, what they'll do is the lobbyists will stop giving you money. They'll stop donating to your PAC. He said they'll start taking you off committees. He said that when he first started as a congressman, he was on a few different committees.
Mm-hmm.
And he said here before he quit, he wasn't on a single committee. Because word was out in pretty short order that he was somebody that just kind of went along with the line all the time,
Yeah.
So I don't know, interesting stuff. Kind of looking at what goes on in our government.
Hey, if it's Michael Malice doing the interview, it ought to be pretty interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I'd watched this unfolding on Twitter for the last couple of weeks. Mal was trying to get him to come on, and he told him, he's like, I'm not going to do any gotcha type questions. He's like, I'll be, we'll have a legit conversation.
Right.
And it's been very good so far. So recommend. Do recommend.
Nice.
But with that, I think this is where we tell people to subscribe, hit the bell, hit thumbs up, tell some friends,
share it around, everyone.
Word. Join. We gotta. Can you see what's going on YouTube while you're doing this? Like, I was just thinking, if there's actually anybody watching live, we should see if they're trying to talk to us in the chat. There's like we have a chat now.
We do have a chat.
It's crazy. So like, if there's anybody trying to talk to us or something, we should make sure that. I think I'm the only person watching.
No. Don't say.
But you can find me on Twitter. I am at IE3366911. And I have been tweeting about this and trying to bring some people in. I saw our first video got like 20 views.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Hey, I'll take that. And if you have something you want us to talk about, let us know. Questions for us, let us know. Join the discussion. We really don't have anything set when we come. Most of the time, we don't have anything set to talk about when we come. So,
right.
You can dictate the show.
Yeah, we're not as much interested in just talking about whatever the current news is, because we all hear it. And we're all sick of it. So let's find something else to talk about.
Yeah. I mean, if you must, we'll appease you for a little bit.
Sure, certainly.
We dabble in it, but
that's true.
There's better things to discuss and bigger things to discuss. So but I think that'll do it this week. We'll try to do it again next week. And until then, take care. Jordan, love you. And we'll talk to you next week.
Yeah. Love you, Jeremy. Talk to you all.
Peace out.
All right.
Good stuff.